Hey, we're live. How are you guys doing? Thanks for coming by. Looks like there's nobody here, and it's not going to stop me. So, first off, some of our footage was used on Doc Ito's channel over on YouTube. I suggest you check out his channel. It's got tons of information, always awesome stuff. I've been following him for a little while now. He showed some of the key in the interview. We were talking about the Alita Army raising money to fly the banner over the Oscars from an airplane that will say Alita sequel, hashtag Alita sequel. And then I guess they had $6,000, I think, that they also donated to the bionics company that made the arm that was gifted to the young lady named Tilly. I don't remember her last name, at the premiere in the UK of Alita. Battle Angels. So they actually gave away this bionic arm. That was from the production. I would assume, it's James Cameron and then the producer John Landau and Robert Rodriguez gifted this girl the arm. So that same company is the company that they donated $6,000 to, the Elite Army. So they're doing tons of good stuff. I'm just stoked to be mentioned. I'm stoked that a bunch of people came by yesterday, so thanks for that. That's Alita Army. That's the Alita page on Reddit and some other places. I got some feedback of people who were going to show up, and I believe that they showed up. And I thought there was like a lot of good questions. Stream was good. It was a little bit nerve-wracking for me. It's the first time I was trying to make sure I didn't want to skip anybody's question, because I don't know when I'll be able to talk to Keen again. So try to get to as many of those as we could. And also I was using StreamYard for the first time, and I was like totally convinced the thing was going to fucking crash for some reason in the middle of it. And I think the only technical difficulty seemed like it was probably just from the signal on Keen's side over there. He was over in California. I believe he was outside of his house. So I don't know. I thought that everything turned out pretty good. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and to click some, give some videos some thumbs up, leave some comments. There's videos stretching back quite a ways. And I started Rattalk basically during the shooting of We Could Be Heroes, which is a superhero thing that Robert directed that's going to be out on Netflix, last I heard. And it's about superheroes, and I think that's all I can say about it. There's probably more specifics about it online somewhere. We Could Be Heroes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the title is still the same. So we were working on that for a while, and I had my lunch. You get 30 minutes for lunch, or 30 minutes for lunch, and I eat like super fast. So in 10 minutes I was done, and then I'm like, well, what am I gonna do now? And then I started to get into wanting to build this channel. This channel has been here for a long time. Junker Designs has been around for 18 years or so, and the YouTube channel was never really messed with like all that much. And so I just want to start adding content, and then eventually do instructional videos on this channel as soon as I get some GoPros in. That way I can build like kind of a cage, kind of a rig over the art table, working table that I have out in the garage here in Texas, and start doing that stuff immediately. And I'm working on another thing here now, and I'm learning a lot of tricks. So I'm working on another thing in Austin, and it's a zombie related, and I don't even know how much I can say about that, but learning lots and lots of cool tricks to make stuff look super, super dirty and stained and gross, and work with some really cool people over there. And that's like an endless kind of, it's an endless opportunity to learn. I'm trying to see who's in. I don't know if anyone's in the chat, because I can't. This thing over here is super weird. on Streamlab. I didn't have any problems yesterday, but and work with some really cool people over there. Turn this down, and that's like an endless. Yeah, it doesn't look like anyone's on the chat. 3 people are watching. If anyone wants to get something started, I'm also going to be answering questions. I'm going to get back to the main topic. I couldn't answer some of the questions last night. They were starting to talk about costumes. It was I didn't want to go into a lot of detail because the amount of work I did on key and stuff, was what it was. His costume was not super special. The jacket was the part that I did that was the more involved special parts. We made Junker Designs, my company, made that jacket and made the Jacker look jacket as well. That was like all deer skin. Hey, what's up? Hey, man, how you guys doing? I finally found out what was going on. It's super stupid. So for the past like 3 days, I've been wondering what the hell was going on with my Apple. My laptop, the shift and the command keys like stopped working. Couldn't figure out what it was. It was driving me crazy. I started reading about preferences and maybe have to change some things in the keyboard settings and stuff like that. And it was just the stupid USB cable coming out of my computer that was going into my phone. For some reason, you cram the USB in there, and then the keyboard stops working, or at least those keys stopped working. So, yeah, that's why in the whole thing with keying trying to type, I was like I don't have a shift key, so I can't. I was wanting to tag people and answer questions and stuff like that, but it was just too much of a pain in the butt for me to try to figure it out. But so the keying jacket, and I've covered this before in some other videos, is called now it's called the Troublemaker jacket because it was used in Robert's film. And before that, it's called the Blade Runner jacket. And I originally made the jacket for a contest that I think it was Warner Video or something was doing. They were releasing the final cut of Blade Runner or whatever. And there was this contest called Imagining the Future. And that's why I designed that jacket. So I designed that jacket and won like some cool stuff from them. And then it was just like in in rotation here. And Robert had a copy. He had bought his own like a while back. And I met Robert actually making clothes and making him jackets before I ever worked on any of his films and stuff. So I have it was weird, like just know him as a guy that liked junker stuff. I think it was a cooler way to start it instead of me like knowing him and then knowing him like he's just my boss or whatever. So he is already collecting these jackets. So he's like, I really like the jacket that you already made me for Hugo. We could just use that, but I just want to put like a different color on it. And that was pretty much the change. And then I think we added racing stripes to one side, and then there was like a lot of oil damage and other stuff done to I think it's the left arm, and that was all applied with airbrush, and there's really cool translucent inks. You can get these like washes of different colors and kind of build them up. I mean, you can't see any of it in the movie, but it is there. And that was the Hugo main jacket. And then the Jacker jacket is a style online that's called the Old Souls hoodie. Oh, hey, Bonnie, what's going on? Yeah, there's only like a few of us in here. I'd love to answer like all the questions you guys have. Die Fast is currently trying to figure our shit out as far as band members that can do stuff. Because right now we're just writing and everyone else is really busy. I'm really busy. So it's more like just trying to figure out who can do what and when. But I would love to do gigs this summer. I was actually talking to the guy I know earlier, this guy named Sean, he plays in Total Chaos, about what's going on this summer with touring, and if Die Fast can get a part of, be a part of some tours, and kind of hoping my movie schedule is freed up then, and there's just a lot of there's a lot of moving parts, but I would say hopefully the summer. And if you're in Texas, anywhere, then maybe sooner. It like I said, it just depends. Like everyone is busy, but we've been writing some really killer stuff though lately, with a guy named John Black, who I wanted to play with for like a super long time. The only time we played together was we did an Iggy tribute, but that was, I don't even remember when that was. It was many, many, many years ago. And the whole time I've always had him in the back of my head as far as a guitar player I really wanted to play with. Him and Sean Smash from Total Chaos are two guitar players I really, really want to play with. So John's been writing some really cool stuff. And his spin on some of the older stuff is even cooler. So kind of a long answer, but I think summer. I hope. Yeah, Glenn is playing guitar for us whenever he can. His schedule is really busy as well. He is in Richie Ramone's band, and so is our drummer, is in the same Richie Ramone's band too. But Glenn, besides that, has like I think another 2 bands that he's in. So it's just, hey, what's up, Zach? So it's just he's just trying to find people. Like the more guitar players I know, the better, because a lot of these guys are busy. So Die Fast probably really has 4 different guitar players kind of hanging around that could do stuff. It just depends on the dates, who really wants to do it, who's available, all that. It's different than it used to be when I was playing in bands, and in the '90s, I don't know, kids today, like they're in 80 bands for I'm not sure what the reason is, but back then we had most of the bands I knew, it was that was your band. Like you weren't playing in a bunch of different bands. And we used to practice like 3 times a week. It was really brutal. We really pushed ourselves. And that was a band called Spunk. And all that material that came out, I thought was, really good. We probably should have written a lot more. But the live shows were really awesome. And that's the watermark. That's like the benchmark now. Try to get Die Fast in shape like that. And but then also we could do our own pyros. Like in the '90s, we took pyros everywhere on the road with us, and without a licensed, any kind of licensing, and you can't do that now at all. But yeah, that was like another tangent. But yes, I hope this summer, and I hope in more places than just in Texas. And that'd be a lot of fun. That would be a blast. So back to the costumes. So the costumes, the 2 different jackets. So the first one I was saying is pretty much called the Troublemaker. It's online. You can buy it right now. Oh, hey Mark, how's it going? The coffee is in the other room. I just need to do a taste test still. You'd wonder why it's taking so long. I don't know, like my stomach is messed up, so I just had to stop drinking coffee for like 5 or 6 days. I don't know if I want to start drinking it again, but I'm gonna have to do that taste test probably next Tuesday. I think I have I have a day off. I gotta go to the doctor. My shoulder's messed up and both my legs are messed up, and so I have to get that stuff taken care of. So the short answer is Tuesday, I hope. I just have to play Russian roulette with my stomach. Sometimes I drink coffee and it just feels like there's a firebomb that's gone off inside my guts, and that's super, super painful. I know it's coffee related because I hadn't drank coffee for like 4 days, and then I went and had an espresso shot in Austin at a restaurant, and it effed me up like big time. So I mean, this sounds like just old people problems. Like, can't drink coffee because my stomach and my shoulder and shit. I don't know. Like after 50 years, like a bunch of the stuff that I have is wearing out, especially my legs. Luckily, we just got a new bed, so now the back is like so much better. I just found out whatever they put at Hilton, at the Hilton hotels. You can look it up online, and that's the kind of bed I bought because I always sleep best at Hilton's. So that was that, and I hope that this is the going name right now for the coffee is Goblin Nut. I think because the coffee has a very nutty flavor. God, I wish I had that book here. And I kept on kind of picturing the cover, and then I realized I think that's the cover of the Fiend Folio, this old D&D book. But I thought if there's like this crazy weird goblin, like I think from this side, holding like a crazy staff with a bunch of bones and weird shit hanging off of it, and but yeah, call it Goblin Nut. I don't. Unless someone's got a better idea. But yeah, it'll be called Goblin Nut. And then I want to experiment with doing some. There's a company. There's some guy I know that does whiskey, and I was like, man, that might be fun, but I don't know who's going to taste it because I don't drink. But that's another thing that might be coming around. But the costumes, back to the costumes again. That was like the main stuff that Junker did on there, and I made tons of stuff for the background that you don't ever see, and that's like the nature of it. And that was like some of the discussion I was trying to have with Kean, was to try to figure out how how much his stuff ends up on the floor. Especially with Alita, because I thought, I was pretty aware of like what the shooting schedule was, but I wasn't really aware of all the scenes. So apparently, he was talking about there was a scene where he was training Alita about, motoball stuff that was, I guess, a longer cut. I still didn't quite understand what he was telling me. If it was just a longer sequence or if it was a just added to the front of the sequence that was already in the film, or if he was training her in a different time and a different space that was previous to them playing in the square in town. And he said it was in the junkyard, so it must have been before she ever saw the rest of the kids actually playing motorball. And you could see how they could cut it together. It wouldn't, it would have been fine, but it's probably just like I think he said, it's just information we kind of didn't need. It wasn't really moving the story forward. So there's always that to consider. And the other interesting thing happened. I think it was, I didn't talk about it. I'm not sure, but I run into Robert at the office every once in a while. And I ran up there to meet him because I wanted to look at some photos of some set photos he had taken. Of something I can't even talk about. And I was trying to figure out from Robert, like how, when you see these movies, like how do you see these movies that seem like actors are great, and then you see the same actors in other movies and it seems like their acting is really, really bad. And the thing I was trying to take into consideration while thinking about how Kean had acted his parts is that you don't have like preparation. You don't have the luxury of doing like a bunch of rehearsals, you know. So if you're an actor and you just walk in there, you better know, you know, you better know your shit and be able to do it, because the factors are, when I was asking Robert why bad acting ends up in film, he said, well, you know, time is usually the biggest problem, and money can be a problem because then it might affect who you can get as an actor. The other thing would be in editing, and Robert had mentioned that he had a film, and I didn't ask him which film he was talking about, but he just said, you know, I've been shooting stuff and was seeing like the rough cuts from the editor, and just not making sense. He was like, the stuff that I liked was good. I don't think they were acting like this when I was filming them. And then he said in that circumstance that he thought that the editor was like tone deaf. That means that he wasn't recognizing like a strong performance versus a not so good performance, and just cutting stuff together. And that once, I think, you know, Robert or the editor figured it out and got the stuff in there, he said, yeah, everything was fine. So there could be millions of great takes that just don't get used. So editing has a big part to do in it, and then also the director. If there's George Lucas, I think, is notorious for not talking to the actors, I guess, a lot, or not being an actor's director, which I guess in my opinion, I would say that if you're an actor, like I think this is a Ridley Scott quote, you know, as he hires, you know, these really good actors, so he doesn't have to talk to them like a lot. You know, they have, you know, they're prepared, they have their ideas, and he has a million other things to worry about, and you know, would rather worry less about the acting part. And you know, it makes total sense. You want to get a pro on the job that you're just like, you know, the pool's over there, and you know they clean the pool. You shouldn't have to like get a pool man in and then just like watch him the whole time and make sure he knows how to clean a pool. Like that's terrible waste of your time. So I see how that can relate. So then Bonnie has a question. It says, you're on a when I'm on a movie set for costume design, which is so detail oriented, how is my sleep schedule? It's uh, you know, it gets nuts. I think the thing that affects my sleep schedule the most is that I have to drive. So, for instance, during Alita, I was still living in Houston, so I was driving in from Houston once a week, and then I would stay in Austin, and then I would stay at a friend's house, and so the schedule was like pretty good. Um, and in movies, although hard to believe, like you work kind of like a normal job. You work like Monday through Friday. And then if stuff gets crazy, you know, they start adding days. But first they'll add hours. So you'll start out sometimes on an 8-hour day, and then you'll go to like a 12 and start, you know, it starts getting a little more crazy. The thing that affects my sleep schedule the most, and not that badly, is now that I live in Temple, which is like an hour away from where I'm working in Austin currently on the zombie project. It's we're on 12s, so I work. You know, I wake up at 5 in the morning here, and I drive to work. Start work at 7. Stop work at 7:30. Drive home. I get home at, I don't know. It's like 9:30, and really by 10 or so, like I'm pretty tired. It's late if I stay up till 11. and you know, it doesn't affect my sleep schedule that much because at least the schedule is like set, and getting that amount of hours of sleep is fine. I start getting like cuckoo if I only get like 4 hours of sleep a night for an extended period. That's like not enough sleep for me. But for the most part, it's treated like a job. So you have the weekend to also recover. Like if that's like not really that sleep schedule is not enough hours for you to be sleeping. But I like it. Always been a morning person anyway, so I don't mind getting up at 5. It's just the drive. You know, the drive is like sometimes I'm a little tired. You know, that's all. But no, I don't think it's a random question at all. It's like it makes sense because you have to plan. You know, when you do anything uh, extended, like you know, films are like you know usually over a month. You know, at least is about pacing, and I learned that on Alita because I like you after you work on something for a year or so straight that's kind of intense with like tons of 12-hour days. It's you have to start just be aware of your pacing. You can't push yourself like a cuckoo person every day for months and months. Yeah, you have to learn how to regulate a little bit. But that doesn't even have to do with sleep, but that has to do with your sanity. I think more than that. I mean, um, you're feeling crazy, you're probably not going to sleep really good. So, and cheers to all 6 of you. I appreciate it. So also yesterday, the thing that you know, I would say that you know, sci-fi and horror are definitely my favorite films. You know, film genres, and you know, I could watch that stuff all day long. I also like these kind of like you know dramas, but uh, you know, shot like in a more interesting way, and that has to do with we were talking about Euphoria, this show that's on HBO, and I'd only heard about it because Kean was in it, and so I was trying to do homework. So I watched the Euphoria. I almost got through all 8 episodes, and then I watched the midway, and I'd already seen Alita like a couple times. But this thing, Euphoria, is really, really, really good. I mean, in my opinion, might not be for everyone. It is. It shows tons of D's, T's, and P's. I'm not going to say all those words because I don't know how they can't demonetize me because I don't have enough followers. But you know what I'm saying. It's got lots of dicks and tits and pussy on there. Which is weird because done like in a totally realistic way. I mean, it's like what I imagine like high school kids are probably like now. Um, they have, you know, everyone's got cell phones. Everyone's sending like weird pictures back and forth. It's about one girl's struggle with, you know, drug addiction and, you know, trying to get sober, then acting like she's sober, and all the other weird stuff that's going on in the town that she's in. And it's done like so well. It's Barry Levinson's kid, I think, Sam Levinson, I think, writes and directs. And you just think about the quality of all these young actors who are, you know, probably in their 20s and some below. And for all the performances to be like hitting like that, there's not like a stinker in the bunch. And it's just a ensemble film with at least 6 or 8 kind of main characters, and the way they do it is like an episode kind of starts with showing part of one of the characters' stories. It's all narrated by the main girl, and it's done like really really good, like on so many levels. So the acting is good, the costume is good, the cinematography is great. I think the writing is really, really good. Because there was one episode in particular. I'm not giving away too much, but they filmed it at Cantor's, I believe, in on Fairfax in L.A. Because I used to eat there like a while back. Yeah, Look, building better. Yeah, Wayland and Tani. Yeah, so the guy that just sold me my mattress recognized it too. Um, Everyone should have one of these hats. I think we're selling them online, or we have the Junker Nostromo and the other Nostromo for sale online. Um, but this Euphoria thing, there's a scene where the main character, this girl, is talking to an older guy who is like her NA sponsor, and she called him because she was freaking out, and she started to kind of go on this thing about life and what she thought about life and the ups and downs and all that stuff. And normally in a Hollywood picture or series, this is that would be that character's kind of a kind of like her awakening, where she puts it all together and she shows that she's wise beyond her years, and she's elevated and goes on into the third act and does something amazing, and she's kind of like going on and on, and that dude is like, hey, hey, I don't give a shit, which is exactly the right thing to do to keep that series, although pretty crazy, um, really grounded. Like, no one wants to hear like some teenage guy or girl blabbering on about how they think things work, after you just called someone to come help you because you don't know what to do because you're a drug addict, and you're going to lay it out to them like life and its mysteries. And it's my favorite line in there. It's just like, look, shut up. No one gives a shit. And it's a lot of stuff like that mixed with dance numbers and a scene of the main character, like, I believe she's like rolling down a hallway, but from the floor to the ceiling to the something else, or she's kind of walking. It was weird. I don't remember exactly. Like I said, I was binge watching it, trying to get as much in as I could. But that, I really recommend that to anyone who likes really quality stuff. That's called Euphoria. That's on HBO. I don't watch. I wouldn't. I don't know if anyone would be wearing a Junker piece. I don't think so. And because I think the Oscars are suit and tie or tuxedo or whatever. I don't know. Those things are, you know, it's just really disappointing when you have actors and stuff that you really like, and some of the stuff that comes out of their mouths, you're just like, oh boy. I like humility and grace, and then get the fuck off the stage. And Ricky Gervais already covered all this. It's like, no one wants to hear your opinions on politics or world stuff. You're an actor, and this is like an awards night, and you've been honored for your acting skill. I'd rather hear a quick little story, like, man, yeah, when we were filming this, like, this happened, I had to do this and this and this, but we pulled through, and now we've got an award. I want to thank the producers and my wife and my girlfriend and my girlfriend's girlfriend and everyone on the crew, and that's it. That'd be fine with me. The rest of that stuff is complete utter nonsense, I guess, unless you're Leonardo DiCaprio. I think he's doing like Billion Trees. We were talking about that a little bit yesterday. I don't know if that is the name of his actual his charity or not, but I felt like he was involved in a Billion Trees or one of these things like that. And it's just really interesting that so the Elite Army raised money to do this banner, hashtag Elite Sequel, and other people have to solve the world's problems. Obviously the clearing of the planet of its forest, and especially the Amazon rainforest, is just it's a bad idea. You know, and all the stuff about global warming and all this other stuff. It's like you have a planet that's like somewhat insulated, and has a amount of vegetation and trees on it that actually produces oxygen, which strangely enough, like we can breathe it. And the best thing you could think is you need to put cows there instead of trees. It's super weird, super weird. But I could tolerate hearing about someone's like causes. You know, I accept this Oscar, and here's my free advertising, 1billiontrees.com. Something I'm doing because the planet's getting wrecked. There's another kid that I think is already cleaning up the ocean, and that was covered on a Joe Rogan podcast. I don't remember where that kid's from. I want to say he's Dutch or something. He's already starting to clean up the ocean. It's amazing, like it's like we're gonna have to fucking do all of this shit ourselves. The government is a joke from one side to the other. If you just look at any of those people, like they've been in Congress for that long, just sitting around getting rich, no matter if they're Democratic or Republican or whatever, Green Party, or I don't even care. These are career criminals that exploit other people, and under the guise that they're somehow going to fix some stuff. And there's a quote where it's like politicians run on stuff, the issues of stuff that they're going to solve, problems that they're going to solve, not on problems that they have solved. Because if you look at the two I always like to bring up, because it's just a glaring example how either one of the parties that could be in power in the United States are completely, utterly, horrifically useless, is the war on drugs and the fight against poverty. It's like, how long do you need? How long do you need to figure it out? It's been, I think, since the '60s. How long do you need? It's because they don't. There's, it's like big pharmaceutical companies. You have to have drugs to sell sick people. You need sick people, and politicians need a crisis that they're going to solve that they then don't ever solve. And I don't even know how I got on this tangent, but that's what it is. Yeah, Zach, totally. It's when that happened, I did the hashtag. Ricky Gervais did not hang himself. Like right away, I was like, oh man, I was like, this dude's gonna get straight up murdered for this stuff. I don't know. He's still alive, but just like Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington and Jeffrey Epstein. Like, why? What is the deal with hanging yourself? And Anthony Bourdain too. Okay, Epstein I can understand because he's in prison. I believe that hanging is something a murderer does to you to make it look like you committed suicide. I'm not sure why. And if someone could look this up while we're talking, like, why, if I had a choice, I would, I guess, do, I guess, could sit in the garage in the car, or you could OD, or you could shoot yourself, And I find it just weird that all these guys decided to hang themselves. That doesn't sound like a very uh, sure way to go either. Like, couldn't you just kind of hang yourself and then end up brain dead or come back like, partially functioning? It just seems like there's better ways to do it. And then, uh, I just think it's weird. I just think it's weird. Also, if you look back in the '60s too, like all those stars like died at the same age. I'm like, how could that be? How could that be? So I just like to pretend that the CIA just took them all out, which you can totally do if you have like a rock star that's like partying along, and you have some undercover guy in there, like that looks like a stinky hippie or whatever, and put some extra special sauce in these guys' drinks. Um, yeah, I mean, it seemed like that would be pretty easy. Okay, so Bonnie, there's a remake coming out about the Invisible. Yeah, yeah. Someone was telling me to watch the original Invisible Man again. Like I haven't seen it probably since I was like 8 or 12. Like that's how long ago. And I did hear something about it, and I did see the trailer, and it looked really. Uh, it was. It was like too close to home, I guess. Like I know like a bunch of like a bunch of different people, but I do know like a lot of models. I do know like probably the same amount of females as other people know, but uh, that Invisible Man trailer was so stalkerish and gross and male weird controlling that it just reminded me of some horror stories that I hear from some girls that I know about what they've dealt with in relationships with being terrorized and mentally abused, physically abused, sexually abused, and it's just I don't know. Did it seem like that to you, or is it just me? It seemed like it's a new Invisible Man for 2020. It's like 20% more rapey and 90% more stalkerish. It was just I saw that accident, got turned off by it. So I'm like, it's not something that I'm gonna watch at all. It looks it looks gross. And then, but then in another strange way, a lot of the stuff that goes on in Euphoria is really disturbing and manipulative and abusive and gross, and it's male on female violence. Um, but I mean, it works with the story. It's Yeah, it's just really good. I could probably say that about 80 or 90 more times, probably. About I couldn't recommend that enough. And if you want to, I know you can get the HBO. Is like you can do like a free trial, which is what I did just so I could watch it, and then I watched some of The Boys. I got through like an episode of that. That's exactly what I heard it was going to be, which was really well written and a really cool, interesting take on superheroes. And that it's really worth checking out. So the easiest way to put it is, they have a lot of people with superpowers in the future or in the present, whenever this thing is set, and they have agents and stylists and all this kind of stuff, and it's kind of like that. It's like they're like rock stars. They're like a mess. They have to, they have like a management team that has to like constantly like kind of cover up their fuck ups and help them along and try to make them seem like the Team America or the the squeaky clean Brady Bunch image, which is actually not how it is at all. But that's really good, based on the one episode. So I mean, but everything I heard is like it doesn't go downhill. So I have a lot of hope for that, and not any hope at all for Doctor Sleep. I wanted to hopefully look at it now that I can rent it and feel something that would make me want to see it, but it's got a god awful movie poster that has Ewan McGregor in the middle, fine, some character to one side, and then some weird girl wearing like a top hat that looks like kind of used to be a hot model, now is like a hot mom wearing kind of like a steampunk uh, hat. It's kind of like a Lincoln hat, or I don't even know what the proper name of that hat is, but it just looks. It's for one, it makes it super unbalanced because you have like a head here, and then a head over here with a fucking boxy hat on top of it, and it looks like she's gonna be wearing a big like brown and beige like can girl dress thing with some straps, and then she's gonna have like a big brass pistol to go to the steampunk convention or something. It just looks yeah, duh. And also, if you watch the trailer, the CGI in there is like, God, man, it's really bad. And why would you do that? Why? Why? People who made this film. I think that to stay within the world of The Shining, you could have just taken so many tips from the first film, as all the horrible stuff and the scary stuff uh, they showed, but it was very like reality based. So, for instance, there's the rotting girl in the bathtub. There's the weird party goers in mask. There's all the people that are in the bar, then not really in the bar because they're ghosts. But these things are very reality based. And I remember the stuff that I saw for Doctor Sleep. It looked like just terrible CGI, ghosty, phantom fart gas looking stuff, and there's some other just terrible stuff in there that was it's just made no sense. It was like they didn't those movies didn't exist in the same world now. It was would have done them much better to make it try to feel like a continuation of a film that was shot in what was the early 80s, I believe. Someone can look that up. But it just looked like a modern shit. And I'm just saying this based on the trailer. It just looked like a modern shit movie that you'd see from like Blumhouse, a Scare, Conjuring, or whatever, where it's got the same kind of tricks, the same kind of ghost. The there's a million movies where you're like the whole time they're living in the house, it didn't look what it was like kind of an illusion, and it's really like covered in vines and slime and stuff, or the scene where the walls crack and all that, or where the weird black fart gas fills up the walls and creeps across the ceiling, and it's like that's been done so many times. It's like clearly you can look at all your guideposts and just be like, hey, if that's been done, yeah, let's not do that. Let's not do the Matrix bend or the superhero landing, or say yes or say no. Like none of that shit. I mean, really, fucking how obvious can it be? It's already been done many times. And I imagine trying to write around that kind of stuff is probably pretty difficult, because there are definitely the glaring examples of those things, the yes, the no, the superhero landing, all that stuff, which is like as soon as you see it, I'm totally done. I'm totally out of the movie now. I'm like, This is a movie with just weird pop references to other movies, and then you just put it right in your movie. So now I'm right out of your movie. It was just super. Um, it, the obvious answer would be you would think don't do that, but they can't help themselves. Especially like that, the scene where everyone's like freezes because there's a monster, and then either they're gonna have two, they have two options. Like they have the one that's like, or the other one is where they kind of look and then they're like, run. So it's like, look, those things have been done, so then don't do it. You don't have to. It's just, ugh. And so when I write, I'm always trying to look at what I write and then make sure that I don't think I've heard that in another movie. Which, writing dialogue is really difficult. And I wish I knew the name of the guy, but there's a guy famous, I believe, in the '70s for writing really, really real sounding dialogue. And part of his trick was, I believe he was in New York, is he would take a tape recorder everywhere he went, and he would tape regular conversations. Regular conversations are pretty hard to write because I think script writers also are really maybe over obsessed with exposition, which I think exposition can be shown a lot by what's going on, and you know actors relating to the other actors. But it's when you're getting the bad exposition because they're uh, usually walking down the hallway hurriedly, and you can just bang out like the premise of the film like right at the starting, like these papers just came in from commander so and so, and the general's reading this paperwork and basically lay out the whole situation for, say, a war film or something. But those things always have to be done cleverly. So from what I understand, because there's so much content people are starting to make, I think it's probably they're really grasping to find writers for all these shows. I mean, if you look at Netflix, just Netflix, it's mind-blowing the amount of original content they have. But then add Amazon has original content, Apple TV has original content. I don't know how long they're going to be around. That they got to find all these people to do this stuff. So it's good for people in the film industry. But the Boys comic is pretty good. Russ Novel says Garth Ennis is pretty great as an author. Yeah, I don't know anything about the comic book. I didn't know anything about the Watchmen comic book either, but I really like the Watchmen, the movie. I haven't seen the TV show, but I have to say, like, that writer is fucking crap. That guy, I can't remember his name. Is it Daniel Lindenhoff? I think Daniel Lindenhoff. I don't know. He was part of Lost. Then somehow he wrote one of those alien stinkers, Prometheus or whatever. I would imagine he was involved in the one where they have to use a Rubik's Cube to, astral project or project these weird pictographs like all over this cave, so this guy can Tom Cruise like swipe through a bunch of shit, and you wonder like that. Back to what I was saying, that's been done before. No one wants to see this anymore. This has already been done a million times. When you're looking at your virtual screen, with it's stuff. Just don't do it. Think of something else. You could just have someone like looking and kind of like, they could have that whole stuff in their mind. That to me would be more interesting than watching the same stupid graphics with people like moving screens. Oh, here it is. Pinch, 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 pinch. Warp. you know, and then they've solved all the problems for the movie with this weird projection. It's fucking dumb. The Joker, that's good. I think that Watchmen probably shouldn't get a second season. Like I said, like that guy writes like crap, but I haven't seen the show, so I won't. You know, I can't say that everything he does is crap, but you know, I think in Hollywood, once you make one hit, that you can probably string that out over like 8 or 9 losses. You know, with people just still willing to take a chance. You know, just hoping that you're going to be the cash cow that brings another hit for them. But you know, definitely failure is. I mean, once you're established, I would think that it's pretty hard to fail your way out. If you look at some of these directors, like multiple movies have lost millions of dollars. But I suppose if you have a couple of hits, people are just waiting for the hits again, just like bands. But they're just gambling, I guess, with a lot bigger cash. But I don't know. I don't think that he's proven himself at all um, to do anything. Like after that stinker, that Alien film, like shame on you. And I think it's weird that there's like this trend. If you think about, you know, how people reacted to the last episodes of Lost, and then you look at what happened to Star Wars, and you look at what happened to Game of Thrones, like people just blowing it at the end. Um, I think that those are examples of you can only prop up bullshit like for so long. Um, Eventually, you run out of gas. I mean, it's easy to create mystery box after mystery box after mystery box after mystery box, but then how are you going to wrap it up that where everyone's um, satisfied? And then that brings me back once again to Euphoria. The ending of that was super weird and crazy, and a lot of the main questions I had didn't get answered, but the ending was so weird and cool and emotional that I was like, "Fuck it, I'll wait. I'll wait to see what happens." To a couple of these people in that series that I hate, 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 hate. What do you think of the Joaquin Phoenix Joker? Well, it was it was amazing. It was an amazing film. Um, I mean, I could see where people might have problems with like the pacing, maybe, but I like '70s movies. So to me, it felt like '70s film. It um, it was like a weird, gritty New York crime. I mean, the comparison was made. It's kind of like Taxi Driver, but you know, a little bit different. And I like that it was based in reality. Like he didn't have superpowers or techno gadgets or anything like that. It was just the story of how he like demented, you know, became demented and turned into the Joker. And I know a lot of people. I mean, I saw a lot. I'll look at a bunch of stuff on YouTube, and you know, somehow this was, I don't know, exploiting people with mental illness or something. Mental illness. People didn't like it for that because he was playing a person who was crazy or partially crazy. I didn't see where any of the controversy would have been. It's a really good movie from the start to almost the finish. The only thing that um, has everyone here seen the Joker before we talk about it too much? All of you guys. I'll wait for an answer. I don't want to go into it and spoil it. I guess I can do it without spoiling it. I think that the ending was about 12 or 15 minutes too long. And it might have been shorter than that too long, but there was just a point, I think, where there was just kind of this pivotal scene where uh, everything had kind of come to a head, and then he was going to be kind of taken away, and that would have been fine, I think. There was some extra added stuff at the end of the film that I think you probably could have taken it out. Uh, or maybe not. Maybe half of the ending, or maybe the 10 minutes I'm talking about. Maybe you kind of need half. It just depends what they try to do with the second one. And I think they should do a second one. And I think Joaquin Phoenix would be dumb not to do a second one. And he's definitely going to be dumb if he tries to do a bunch of like PC garbage in the second one. Because I heard he's a little off on some of that stuff. It's just like good writing in movies. Like the lessons are intrinsic to the way the movie is presented. It's not like an after-school special where the lesson sits on top of the movie, and it just happens to be in the movie theater. But it's like, hey, today we're going to learn about poverty, tomorrow racism, or whatever. I think that if you are a relatively smart person, you can look at a film and just be like, yeah. I mean, I get, I get some messages here, or I don't, or you're just like, I just like the movie. I like to watch it. I liked the costumes. I liked the makeup. I thought Joaquin Phoenix was amazing. I thought the direction was great. The most important thing is you don't. I didn't really think about the direction at all. Sometimes people will do a couple of wacky shots here and there where you're like, oh, this is a film. I get it. This is getting a little filmy and some wacky angles and stuff, which is great. I love that stuff. But like I said, I feel like it was shot like a 70s film. Like that's the difference between Star Wars, say, and then most of the other new Star Wars. If you talk about the Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, those things are shot in a very specific way. And if you go back and watch those films, the camera's not doing. It doesn't do a bunch of this stuff at all. Like the action, like exists in the frame. The frame of the camera does not necessarily jerk about. And I feel like that is a big part of the feeling of Star Wars as they went ahead and tried to move forward. I mean, it's just my opinion. Same thing about Doctor Sleep. If you would have looked at the source material, I think, and try to keep it in the same visual world, kind of feeling, I think it would be, more in line with being successful as a sequel in the case of Doctor Sleep, and then in the Star Wars stuff as feeling more, more Star Warsy, I guess, when it starts to kind of do all the same kind of camera tricks and spins and other shit that Marvel movies and the other movies are doing, then it's not more original. It's just a bunch of layers of tropes, visual tropes, and then dialogue-y little tropes, and then it becomes like a pop culture grab bag of crafty dialogue and neato shots that are just recycled from every other film. So it's just like a cut and paste of these little, I guess, beats that the research department at the big movie company did that you know, at 43 minutes in, like there should be like a little scare or a heart uh, soaring moment, and you know, it's just like painting by numbers. It's like doesn't even story doesn't even make sense. They're just like click and clack, clackety clack, 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 and then hell, here's your movie, um, monster. Well, mm, I haven't seen it in a really long time, but when I saw it, I was like, wow. I was like, it was stunning because Charlize Theron can really act when she wants to. And the unfortunate thing about her is then the rest of the time she's just kind of playing like a bitch. From what I can tell, in Mad Max, she's kind of a bitch, and then in Aliens, she's kind of like a bitch. Like she's a, you know, Waylon's daughter, I think, and she's just kind of like, I don't know. I just feel like, is she playing herself? Like, is her thing like, I'm a bitch, hear me roar? Is that her thing? I don't know. I don't like it. I think when she's acting and um, playing, you know, what was her name? Warnos, something Warnos, I believe, was the monster, the killer, and the lady. It was Christina Ricci in that too. It was like that film was just like another one of those things where it was like super spot on. Like I don't remember at any time during that film being like, oh man, this movie. It was captivating and shocking, and you definitely empathize with her, you know, like abuse, and then just turning into a crazy, you know, prostitute basically that kills her Johns. I guess, you know, out of revenge for all the terrible shit that's happened to her. Yeah, it was a really good movie. The problem with, I think, a lot of the really good movies that I like, they're actually difficult to watch a lot of times. Still, for me, I have to make a commitment to watch The Shining, for instance. I have to make a commitment to watch Blade Runner, although not as much of a commitment as I have to do to watch to be able to deal with The Shining. And so those are some of my favorite films, and they're challenging for me to watch because I think that just it's just emotionally like heavy. I think, you know, The Shining is a really uh, hard film to find any kind of faults with. For me, like I don't. Mm, I was trying to think if there's like a stinker in there, if there's like a bad actor in there somewhere, and I don't think from the you know, from the manager of the hotel, especially, he was really good when he was talking to Jack about, you know, his duties and I have to tell you about what happened here, and you know, that guy's great. Scatman Crothers is amazing. You know, Shelley Duvall is amazing. The guy who plays Danny is amazing. Um, the you know all the use of the wide angle lens and the design of the hotel, and yeah, it was just, I mean, but Stanley Kubrick is the master among masters, so he didn't put out any garbage. I don't think. Although I think Full Metal Jacket was a little weird. I think because uh, the gunnery sergeant Lee Ermey, I think was his name, was not an actor. So although his all of his lines in there, everyone is amazingly quotable. And from what I understand, he wrote all that stuff. The actor did, Lee Ermey. Um, there was just some stuff in there, the way it was cut. I was just kind of like, I don't know. I just feel like it's not his best film, and yeah. Oh yeah, they're making another Mad Max. They should make another Mad Max. I hope it's not. I hope Charlize Theron is not in there. Um, there were some stinkers in there, like the part where, and this is what I mean by kind of like the tone and the delivery of these lines, which I think that I've already heard a million times in different movies, and then they just kind of pop up in other movies. Was when after I guess Max had laid down some traps and killed the kind of like the two guys, the bullet farmers, the guys that were had the gun shells like all over their costumes. That stuff was brilliant. But it's after that scene where you hear the bombs go off and all that, and then Max comes staggering back and he's got like blood all over him, and he's like, ugh. And the one girl, one of the young wives or whatever, is like, "You're bleeding," and he's like squashing, and then Charlie's Theron has that line, "It's not his blood." It's just like I've heard that. I've already heard of that a million times in different stuff. Um, so that was the one thing in that movie where I was just like, ah. But for the most part, surprisingly, I've seen that movie like I don't know 5 or 6 times. And then in Houston, I don't know if everyone else got the same thing. It was there was a thing called the black and chrome version that I got to see in theaters. It's basically black and white, and man, that was great. If you guys can find the black and chrome Mad Max edition somewhere, I would suggest picking it up. It's super cool. So that's good to know. I mean, they should. They should. It was great, and I really feel like if it was centering more on Max, it's going to be more of a Mad Max film. I just, there's like a lot of material there. Like it's in my mind still, it's really hard to beat the Road Warrior, and and Max to me like is um, I don't know. It's hard to get around the Mel Gibson part, but I hope they put Mel Gibson in the new one. I think in the last film he was going to be called like the Wanderer or something. He was going to be a character in the film, and I would love just to see him in the film as not another Mad Max, but just another like kind of you know wasteland adventurer guy, or just someone trying to get by. It looks like everyone's just kind of getting by. There's these clusters of weird things going on. Like I guess there was Barter Town, and then there was this crazy guy with the radiation face, and there was Humongous and his clan, and it's it's better for me to like watch a character kind of like discover these other things, and then gets roped into kind of doing favors he doesn't really want to do, kind of like in Road Warrior. He's got to figure out how to get gas, and he ends up having to help these other people out. I don't think he's doing it out of good nature at all. It's just like it's a necessary evil. Um, I did see Dallas Buyers Club. That's really cool you brought that up. That's another amazing uh, film. I was like, really good. That's a really good film, Bonnie. Bonnie likes really good films, I think. I mean, films that I also like. Doesn't mean that they're actually really good. It just means that Bonnie and I like them, I guess. That's really good. I'm trying to think what else I've been blown away by lately. Mostly because I watch Netflix. I'm mostly seeing stuff that's now series that I really like. Like Ozark was really good. There's one we're watching right now, my girlfriend and I, that's super weird, and I think I believe it's called The Secret. It's on Netflix, or it's either called The Secret or it's called Secret, and that show's really strange. It's some kind of weird group that is just blackmailing like a bunch of people in this town, and that's some similarities between that and then Euphoria. So, like I said before, Euphoria is on HBO. That's 8 episodes. I think they were an hour or 45 minutes. I don't even remember. Like I said, I was trying to like watch all this stuff really quickly to talk to Kian about it. The Secret. I'm assuming that it's like going to be 8 or 12 episodes. I haven't looked at it that much. I think we're on episode, I think 2, I believe. That's really good. That's really good. And yeah, I think those might be my favorites. I think the big disappointments. We want to talk about disappointment. Ugh, it's just like Altered Carbon. I just couldn't get into it. I really, really, really wanted to like it because it's very Blade Runner adjacent. It's it's cyberpunky noir craziness with a bunch of layers of weirdness and projected personalities and um, you know clones and kind of computer generated clones. It's really cool. The ideas are all super cool. It's just shot and it's really hard for me to put my finger on why I don't like it. But there's some films where the editing obviously is really important in these films to make it feel like it's a film, a continuous representation of whatever this idea is cinematically. And then other films where it literally feels like boom, 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 boom. They just cut a bunch of shit together. And I think what it is it's not so much also that they just cut scenes together. It's that, and I don't know if it's because I've been working on films or because I watch a lot of films, and so I don't know if you guys happen to notice the same thing, but you see a film where there's, for instance, there's a fight, like 3 guys in the bar. The guy's like, boom, boom, like knocks 2 of the guys out, and then 2 of the guys are on the floor. So then they show the fight. Then the next camera cut is the guys on the floor, and I don't know what it is in my mind, how or why I can notice it in some films, and it doesn't feel like that way in other films. But in a bad film, you see the fight, the guys hit the floor, the camera cuts to the guys on the floor, and you just know that it was probably like on a different day, and they just put these guys on the floor. The continuity's kind of not totally right, and you feel none of the energy from the cut before. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, the director's saying, okay, put these guys on the floor. The second unit director is like, okay, get the guys on the floor. Let's just get our insert shot of guys on floor. Whereas I think if, there was some movement in that frame, or one of the guys was still like kind of like moving around or something like that, you would feel like the action from the first scene was kind of carrying over to the second scene, even though these guys are defeated. I don't, and see, it's really hard for me to explain, but you can just feel that the other shot is like the other shot is like a total insert shot that's like devoid of any kind of action. So I feel like I pretend in my world that if I was the director, we get the fight scene, hit the guys hitting the floor, set up the camera again, just do the part where they fall onto the floor, and kind of like lay there or start doing something, and that's your insert shot. Because I haven't seen, like, I've seen a bunch of fights when I was growing up in Texas. I've never seen anyone, maybe twice, never seen anyone just get knocked out unconscious, like put to sleep. I've seen plenty of people knocked over and kicked, and to the point where they're laying on the ground and they're just like no more, or they're just like laying there like or whatever. It seems more realistic than someone just like fucking putting people to sleep, here and there. And that's me. Once again, I'm trying to describe it as best I can. It's pretty hard to describe, but yeah, you just get the feeling like these things were not happening on the same day. There's not the same energy. There's not the same care. And insert shots, when done badly, are, they're, it's like lady puts out her cigarette. Insert shot is like gorilla hand putting out a cigarette. It's just like, it can be really jarring, and it can totally like take you out of like the film and what's going on. Muppet Show cast of the Sesame Street Thugs. That's an interesting question. So everyone should participate in this one. So who would win a fight, the Muppet Show cast or Sesame Street? If they totally went at it. The Muppet Show would win. These are the reasons why. If you think about Sesame Street, I believe you've got Oscar the Grouch, you've got Ernie and Bert, you've got Grover, you've got, say, 10 maybe other kind of characters. You've got Snuffleupagus, who's big, but also very slow. And you have Big Bird, who is big and I don't think likes to fight. Whereas Muppet Show, you have these two old men that like to start trouble. You have Kermit, who's probably useless. Miss Piggy, who can karate chop like nobody's business. You've got a band of dopers. You've got Animal. So think about that right there. Even with Miss Piggy karate chopping people and Animal like just going crazy. I guess he'd be beating people with drumsticks and then biting them. And the other thing I like to think about that'd be really advantageous on the Muppet side of things is they have like that army of sarcastic rats. So while Miss Piggy is karate chopping and Animal's biting and drumsticking people, then you have an army of these rats like chewing the rest of these guys up. And I think Snuffleupagus would like fall over almost right away, right when the fray starts. Snuffleupagus would go down, and he would have his stomach chewed open and his guts strewn out by all these crazy rats. And I think Big Bird would flee. I think that the problem is there is, I would think, Oscar the Grouch, because he's probably going to do, he's going to hole up. Oh, okay, there's a cure for this. He's going to hole up in his trash can. Okay. But the Muppets have that weird Mad Bomber guy. And someone can look that up. There is this weird character that I've seen in some Muppets episodes that has got like the old style round bowling ball fucking bomb thing with the fuse in it. And he would, I guess after, oh my God, wait, I forgot about, doesn't Sesame Street have that guy called Yummins or Ubbins? Or is that the Muppets? It's a really big, hairy dude that kind of looks kind of like a Bigfoot, but I think he wears clothes. whoever's got that guy is gonna have like an advantage. Even though I think he's kind of like mildly tempered, I think if he was put into a rage, that's gonna really like change it. So you have to figure out who that guy is called. I wonder if there's a list. Let's look if there's a list of Muppets characters. Let's see. I thought his name was called Ubbins or so they have Gonzo, Fozzie Bear, Kermit the Frog. Those guys are all pretty much useless. Oh, Crazy! So Crazy Harry is the name of the Muppet that's got the little boom like bomb box. And there's Telly Monster. Okay, so that's them. I think this big guy might be part of Sesame Street, so we need to figure that out. But so far, I'm going to say the Muppets. The Muppets are definitely one. Sesame Street. Let's see, characters. 50 seasons of Sesame Street. You believe that? Okay. Sesame Street character. Phone died. Okay. I'm still gonna go with the Muppets. And I feel like that's right. It would have to be the Muppets. The Muppets would win, and a full-on battle with Sesame Street characters. A lot of Sesame Street characters are except for Oscar the Grouch. And I don't know, maybe I think Grover can maybe go into some nerd rage and like sling his like long ass paws around and do some damage. But yeah, I mean, like I said, Muppets have Crazy Harry, so that guy has bombs. He blows stuff up. And Miss Piggy, who's karate chop expert, and Animal, who's just basically unstable. And I think that they're the ones who have Ummons. I think is his name. He looks like a big Cameroon crew, big Bigfoot guy. Yeah. So let's see who would win. And a bunch of struggling actors versus inner city people. Well, that's no contest, is it? I don't know what you mean exactly by inner city. It's going to depend on the city, but let's say and I think we're going by like stereotypes, right? So when we're talking about a bunch of struggling actors, we're talking about soy-based life forms that work at cafes, or I don't know. That's what I think right away. I think this would be like a stereotypical struggling actor who has like maybe two. If you're in LA, maybe 2 jobs, extra jobs, and then trying to do auditions. Versus, I think we'll just say regular ass people, just regular people. So let's pretend we're in Hollywood and you are on Hollywood and Vine, and that's the neighborhood I used to live in. And there's a 24-hour fitness that was right over there. And you clear out the 24-hour fitness and you put a bunch of actors in there, struggling actors. So they might be kind of like fainty, because maybe they can only eat a couple of noodles a day. Depends how struggling. And then you stick in just a bunch of we'll just say regular ass people. And you put them in the 24-hour fitness, and you let them use anything that's at 24-hour fitness as a weapon. I definitely think that the actors are going to lose. I mean, big time. Because if you just take a random cross section of say just ordinary people, if you're in LA, a cross section of those ordinary people are going to be actors and artists anyway. So does that mean out of the cross section of normal ass people that the actors and artists, or just the actors, would be also included because they're more regular? Or just if you're an actor, you would just be put in the struggling actors category? It's that's a little tricky, but they're definitely going to lose. Definitely. There's some rough, tough people over there, and there's also just some people who are in like amazing shape. But those people in amazing shape could be struggling actors. They could be going in and just eating patties from McDonald's and still hitting the gym, just living on greasy meats, and still be pretty good. So I think, yeah, that's what I think about that. I think the dissertation about the discussion about the Sesame Street was pretty. It was enlightening, to say the least. I hadn't really thought about the Muppets or Sesame Street like in a little while. I mean, I thought about Elmo because the kid likes the brushy brush song. That's an Elmo song. But I think, wasn't the Elmo guy like a child molester? The guy that played Elmo, or was that Big Bird? Or was that guy who played both of them? I don't know. But anyway, like, look, give me some questions. Give me. Oh, did you guys? Someone just wrote about the Kean Johnson thing. I'll read this thing off. My phone died. I hope you guys got to see that video, and I hope that if you didn't see that video, you'll go check out that video. Maybe after you are done watching this one. You know, Kean's super generous and had no problem with coming on the show. Had no problem with me moving the times around, because the first time I was going to interview him, I realized it was like Super Bowl Sunday, and I don't care about football at all, but some people might. I don't know, but really, you know, once again, to circle back around to this whole intro to this video, you know, it's really thanks to the Alita groups that exist on Instagram and Reddit and Twitter, and those people kind of like spreading the word, because that's all that was in the chat, you know, and that was awesome to see. And I also like to thank Dr. Ito, who on his channel used some of my footage when I was talking to Kean, and you know, we're all just pushing, you know, pushing for this. I consider myself like a part of Alita Army, Phantom Menace, and the rest. It's just like, I just want to see cool stuff. I want to see cool films get made. I don't want to see stuff that looks like it's being repressed for some weird reason by a bunch of weirdo journalists. It seems like everyone should just get their fair shake, kind of. Like, I don't know how you prejudge a movie to, and I see this with Birds of Prey and a bunch of other stuff, is like, before these movies are out, they're predicting how much money that they're going to lose. I don't think that there's a way that you can do that. And I think that Joker is probably the greatest example. Like, I think all the experts, and Odin Movie Blog would know this exactly. I'm guessing that Joker, they thought maybe was going to make maybe 60 million, I think, at first. Say, for an example. But the point being of that point is just to say that you don't know. I mean, these are guesses like anything else. Like, a couple of things have been changed in Star Wars. These things could have made like billions and billions and billions of dollars. And if they would have projected, you know, that they're going to make $1 billion, they could have been like, you know, guessing really low. If we would have had a movie that was, you know, a middle movie that was all Luke Skywalker doing badass stuff, I think that thing would have just been gangbusters, man. Everyone would have been stoked. Everyone would have been stoked to see Mark Hamill really in mature fighting form as Luke Skywalker. It would have been amazing. This would have been so good. Um, mm. Oh man, Rust novel. Like, are you? Yeah, that's Jurassic World. Okay, let me look at your comment again. So it was regular people versus struggling actors. Got it. A bit of a reduction. Well, which one's who then? I guess inner city people would have to be Sesame Street. Oh yeah, because the Muppets live in a theater. Yeah, I get it. I mean, I'm thinking about the Muppet Show specifically because I know that after that there was God, what was it called? Like Muppet Babies was really popular, but to me, like Muppets is not a cartoon, so I don't care about the cartoon like at all. Just like I don't care about Star Wars at all as Clone Wars or any of that other stuff, which is hard for some people to understand, but um, it's just not. It's not how I grew up. I grew up on all these films, and then for it to be done in like kind of this weird CGI thing, you know, all the cool sound effects are there, but like the visuals is like nothing that I like at all. It's not Star Wars; it's cartoon of Star Wars. Um, oh, nice! Thanks, Bonnie. She said I tuned into the interview you did on the with the Hugo actor, and I asked very insightful questions for us viewers. Well, I hope so. I mean, it I was nervous to do it because you know like I said, I didn't know if the stream was going to work. I was also nervous to do it because I was hoping a bunch, and you know some showed up, Alita Army people and hardcore Alita fans to make sure that their questions were answered, and I asked him enough about Alita stuff, but really what I wanted to know about was kind of like everything as a whole, and so I did try to ask Alita specific questions and then other broader uh, questions about his experiences as an actor and life in general. You know, I think there's a misconception that once you're in a big film, and you know I did have this misconception about Kean that he's just that's it. Like he did Alita, he did Midway, he did a bunch of TV shit, and you know, his phone's like ringing off the hook, but that's not the case. You know, you think about all the actors that are in LA, and then you think about these budgets, and then I wonder if they're like, yeah, that's cool that we have all these actors that are really good, but we need to find a really good one who's super new because then we can pay him less. I don't know how much that would go on, but that's something to think about. And you know, he said it a couple times in interviews, like I'm trying to go out and make some money. You know, he's got to pay bills like everybody else. And you know, if your life choice is to be an artist or an actor, you know, bills can be tough to pay sometimes. It's a struggle. Can be a struggle. It doesn't mean that it's always a struggle, but there is a lot of relief for me in working on films where I know the girl comes by on Thursdays and just hands me the check. You know, there's no me having to text someone and reminding them to pay me. There's no dealing with shipments going overseas that get lost. There's no dealing with like customers that may be happy and or not happy. And you know, there's a lot of comfort in that. But you know, that comfort is momentary. You know, momentary because films don't last forever. That's why you try to you hope to get on a TV series, so at least you know you're gonna work this chunk, and then hopefully things go good, and then you're gonna work on another big chunk. For instance, the zombie thing that I'm working on, I think they started in November. So November, December, January, February, March, April, May. I think they stopped in June. So if you think you have that, and I think you get some time off, but you get like 8 months of like solid work, and then hopefully you saved your money, and then you can like probably live for a couple of months without freaking out. But then you got to start freaking out because then you got to try to find another movie job. Here in Texas, I think seems like it's relatively easy. I've never worked in Los Angeles. All the film work I've done has been in Texas. Um, so I don't know how I even. Oh yeah, we were talking about Kian and the realities of acting and all that. It's LA is a really expensive place, so like everything else, there's people who have, I think, really, really, really made it that you're aware of that have like million, bazillion dollar mansions and stuff. Then you think about all the people that are just at regular level, and obviously there's a difference between actors and celebrities. And the thing that you may or may not be aware of is like this is planned. This is a concentrated and concerted effort by the person to be a celebrity and not just an actor, and that has to do with PR companies and a bunch of other stuff. There's a couple of things I always think about is one is when you see people start showing up in these tabloids and stuff, and it's like you have a team that's working to get you all over the place, no matter what it is. It's coverage. And I remember way back when I saw Seth MacFarlane, the guy from Family Guy. He's just, I guess, a regular ass person. Started to appear like a celebrity, which means he started showing up in some stuff, and he was linked to dating so and so and all this stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, is he really interested in doing this kind of PR on himself? And then I swear, like that lasted maybe only like a year, and then I wonder if he just decided, like, look, all this, contrived fake BS is just not. It's just not for me, and so that kind of quickly, disappeared. And you can look way back at Ghost Story because Scarlett Johansson was acting alongside, what's her name? Thora Birch. And I think that Scarlett Johansson was not the better actress, but got the better management and PR company. And look what they've done for her. She is like rich. And the thing that's super weird about Scarlett Johansson is she's a really good actress sometimes. So you just got to work, think about that. Okay, was that the director, or is she kind of off half the time, or I don't know. We speaking of another good film that we just watched, that I thought was also kind of shot like a '70s film, is a film with Scarlett Johansson and Johansson and Adam Driver, the guy who played Kylo Ren, and it's a divorce film. I think it's called The Family, I believe. Oh yeah, my phone's dead. Keep looking at it anyway. Family or The Family. You can find it on Netflix. Take like 2 seconds. That's, I think, a really good film. Once again, there's no stinkers as far as the actors go. Alan Arkin is in it. I believe that's his name from MASH. Playing this lawyer. He's awesome. Laura Dern is in it. I hate her face, but she's kind of plays a bee, so I mean it kind of works that way. I mean, after she played Haldo, like I'm just done with her. Like I don't care what she does. But yeah, that's the stuff I would recommend. And I think well, I've been talking for almost 2 hours. I really appreciate it. I really hope that you guys will like this video, subscribe, and most importantly, share. I think that people discovering the breakdown of this Muppet Sesame Street fight it's important. I think for everyone, and this will change lives. So don't hesitate. Thank you. Thank you.